You know the drill. A new gadget, a new app, a new way of doing things is suddenly everywhere. It's all over your social feeds, everyone's talking about it. And while some people dive right in, others, they just don't. Today, we're getting into the psychology of that trend-resistant person. Have you ever had that feeling you see the hype, you hear the buzz, but inside, nothing? It just doesn't spark anything. If that sounds like you, you're definitely not alone, and it's way more interesting than just being out of the loop. Okay, so let's get one thing straight right away. This is not about looking down on people who love trends. Trends can be awesome. They can be fun. They can be useful. This is about understanding a totally different way of processing the world. It's not about feeling superior. It's just that some brains are wired to handle social influence a little differently. So let's officially meet the trend-resistant person. This is not someone who's living under a rock, okay? They see the hype. They get what the trend is. The key difference is they make a conscious, deliberate choice to sit it out because it just doesn't line up with what they actually need or want. Now, this right here is probably the most important point we're going to make today. Being trend-resistant is not the same thing as being a contrarian. On the outside, they can look identical. Both skip the trend. But the real difference, it's all about the motive. Let's break this down. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. Look at the language. The trend-resistant person says, it's not for me. It's an internal thing. The contrarian says, everyone's falling for it. That's an external reaction and how they decide. One is based on their own goals and what works for them. The other is a direct reaction against popularity. And the feeling afterwards says it all. One feels calm, like it's no big deal, while the other feels kind of fired up, maybe even a little smug. So here's the bottom line. A contrarian is still completely tied to the crowd. They actually need the trend to exist, so they have something to push against. But a truly trend-resistant person, they'd make the exact same choice even if nobody else was around. They're playing a completely different game based on their own rulebook. So where does this different rulebook come from? What's going on inside their head? Well, it really boils down to a couple of key psychological traits that act like a powerful inner compass, guiding them no matter what the social weather is like outside. The first piece of that compass is a concept that psychologists call an internal locus of control. It sounds complicated, but it's really simple. It's the core belief that you are the one steering your own ship. It doesn't mean you control every little thing, but it's the feeling that your own choices are the main thing shaping your life, not luck or what other people think. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It captures that feeling perfectly. It's this quiet confidence that your direction comes from within you, not from getting likes or approval from the outside world. And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. You rely on your own personal standards for what's good. You're focused on clear, concrete goals, like your health or your savings account. You look for actual evidence that something works, not just that it's popular. And maybe most importantly, you give yourself permission to choose instead of waiting for a trend to tell you what to do. All right, let's get to the second key trait, which builds on the first one. Cognitive independence. I absolutely love this idea. It's not about being stubborn or difficult. It's just the habit of hitting a mental pause button before you jump on board with something new. It's creating that tiny little space for your own thoughts to form before the crowd's thoughts rush in. So what happens when you hit that pause button? It's like you're running a super fast internal filter. You're asking yourself, 1, is this actually going to be useful for me? 2, what's the real cost here? Not just in money, but in my time and my energy. And 3, does this thing actually fit into the life I'm already living? That simple 3-second check can save you from a whole lot of buyer's remorse later on. And when you combine that strong internal compass with a habit of cognitive independence, you almost always end up right here, with a deep, deep appreciation for function over image. The main question shifts from, how does this make me look, to how well does this thing actually work? This comparison makes it crystal clear, right? It's the difference between chasing that shiny new productivity app that everyone on Twitter is raving about versus sticking with the simple notebook that has actually helped you get things done for years. It's choosing the boring, durable jacket that'll last you 5 winters over the super trendy one that's going to look dated by next season. One is about looking current, the other is about solving a real-life problem. And here is the really profound part. The biggest benefit of this mindset isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about protecting your most valuable, non-renewable resources, your mental energy and your attention. Every trend you don't have to research, debate, and decide on
is a ton of mental bandwidth you get to save for the stuff that genuinely matters to you. And you can see the results right here. It's not just a theory, it has a real impact. When you put function first, you get less buyer's remorse because every choice is intentional. You get way less distraction because you're not constantly chasing the next new thing. And you actually get lower anxiety because you've officially opted out of the never-ending social comparison game. Okay, so this all sounds pretty amazing, right? This approach brings a ton of freedom, but let's be real, it's not perfect. Like any mindset, being trend-resistant has incredible benefits, but it also comes with a few potential blind spots and social frictions that we need to talk about. So first, let's just quickly recap the good stuff. We've got less regret and more savings, which is awesome. But even deeper, you build stronger self-trust because you're constantly practicing making choices on your own terms. And of course, you free up so much more of your time and focus. But we have to be honest about the potential downsides. For one, you might actually miss out on some genuinely useful new ideas or technologies. Two, you can sometimes create a little social friction if you come across as dismissive of things your friends are excited about. And finally, there's the big one. You can fall into that superiority trap, where I'm not like other people stops being an observation and starts becoming a whole identity. So how do you get all the benefits without falling into those traps? This one simple question is like a secret weapon. Just ask yourself, am I rejecting this because it's popular, or am I rejecting it because it genuinely doesn't fit my needs? That little moment of honesty is what separates healthy independence from just being a contrarian. And that brings us right back to the core message here. The goal of healthy trend resistance is not to isolate yourself. It's not about being difficult or feeling superior. It's simply about having the freedom to choose what's right for you, guided by your own internal compass, not by the shifting winds of the crowd. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Think about a recent trend you consciously decided to skip, and then ask yourself why. Was it about money, your values, or just your personal comfort? Take a second to think about that, because your answer will tell you more about the way your own mind works than any trend ever could.